Good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here in Staten Island with you today. The topic we chose is Torah and science, which is a combination of scientific discoveries, and then we showed that actually every discovery that changed the face of the earth was already in the Torah 3,000 years ago. What's the purpose of this lecture? Believe it or not, this lecture already responsible for a few 100,000 Jews in the world that became religious. Why it's so popular? Perhaps it's more successful than any other lecture in Jewish history as far as making Baalei Tshuva, meaning Jews that becoming religious. Why? Because most of the Jews today, the fact that they're not religious is not because they're bad people, not because they hate God, not because they don't appreciate what God have done for them. It's mainly because of ignorance. The Jews are very good when it comes to being doctors and lawyers and judges and business people and computer experts and all kinds of things that you want. But the most important thing they forgot about. What's the purpose of life? It's very nice to be a billionaire. It's very nice to be a computer genius. It's very nice to be a big doctor. It's all nice. Doesn't contradict the purpose of life. You can be a very good doctor. You can be a computer engineer. You can be whatever you want as long as it's kosher. It's not a sin. Be a doctor for sure. It's not a sin. To be a computer expert is not a sin. There are many jobs that you can work as a Jew. You make plenty of money, live comfortable, and you can be at the same time a righteous Jew. It all comes down to one thing. Can we prove that the Torah is a divine book or not? If we cannot prove that the Torah is divine, then we are nothing better than the Christians and the Muslims and 80,000 religions and cults who came after Judaism. We're nothing better. They claim you have to believe sun, and we will have to claim the same thing. You have to believe, son. It's a matter of faith. You have to believe in God. You have to believe. You have to believe. You're not allowed to ask questions about faith. We are believers. We believe. We believe. We believe. Believing means not knowing in science. If you know a little bit about science, then you know one of the solid rules in science. When a scientist uses the word we believe, everybody knows it's no guarantee. Maybe it'll happen, maybe not, 10%, 20, 50% chance. That means the scientists are not sure what would happen. There's a chance. There's a chance that an asteroid will hit Earth basically every 3 seconds it happens. There's a chance that there is a massive one that if it hit the Earth, we'll all be nowhere. But, the scientists are saying, well, there's a 20% chance that this piece is coming towards us. If it will hit Earth, we'll be all Itgadal v'Itkadash Shmei Rabbah. But Baruch Hashem, there was many chances, and it happened only twice in the history. Once in Siberia, in the middle of a huge piece of ice, thousands of miles of ice, right there in the middle. Anywhere else it would fall, it would be millions of dead people. And one time it happened in a desert in America, in the middle of nowhere. Twice it happened. Those 2 times that it happened, all it needed that it will fall in Manhattan or Paris or Israel or any other city in the world. It would be the end of the world where the markets would crash, trillions of dollars damages. It will take us hundreds of years to get back on our feet after such a destruction. Worse than few atomic bombs combined. The scientists calculated that when it hit Siberia, people on the other side of the world fell down. It was 1904. That's how it shook the earth. Imagine if it would fall on a city with hundreds of buildings, what would happen? But it happened twice, and then Baruch Hashem was still here. Everything is supervised. The reason it happened twice, to show us what we're getting saved from. Now, it could be coincidence, it can be a supervision. That's a matter of fate. But we are not here today to discuss fate. We are here to prove the Torah is from God or not. If we cannot prove the Torah is divine, Do we have to listen to the laws of the Torah when we cannot prove that it's from God? What do you think?
No.
Do we have to or not? If you say no, please explain to me why 1.8 billion Muslims, almost all of them, follow strictly the laws of the Quran. When it cannot be proven that it's the word of God, they don't ask, prove, not prove. We believe, we're willing to die for it. Are they all foolish?
No.
Yes, yes.
No.
Yes.
No. We'll get to it in a minute. We'll get to it. My mother actually called me today. She told me, your father is very worried. I said, why? She said, you're proving the Quran is false too many times online. My father is starting to get nervous. So maybe Muhammad will pay me a visit. So I say to her, look, you know what? I'm not here to put anybody down. We're only arguing what's the truth. We're not. I'm nothing against them, or I speak sometimes about different kind of Jews. I criticize certain things that we do as Jews. Doesn't mean I hate them or don't like them or want to put them down. A Jew has to be on a hunt for the truth every second of his life. That's what the Torah says. This is the foundation of Judaism, the truth. If you are a politician, you cannot be a good Jew. Because politics means to lie a lot, to tell your voters what they want to hear. That's not what God wants. Politic is a nice word for lying. They don't want to say liars, so they say politicians. But it's everything, we will expand, we'll make new highways, we will do this, and we will build new building for the project, we lower taxes. Did it ever happen once in the history? It never happens. It's all lies. Do you think he himself believed when the time he gave the speech that he's going to do it? I learned body language very, very well. Why? Because in order for me to be successful in my arguments with people, I need to know what they think about me when they talk to me, because they're never going to tell you the truth in your face. If I debate someone, what is he going to tell me? You convince me that the Torah is real after 5 minutes? What's the whole point of the debate? He's trying to win, even though he knows I'm right. I already proved it to him after 5 minutes. He already knows. I need to know if to waste time on him or not. You understand? So the idea is I have to learn. So I read a few good books about it and see what the Torah says about body language. It's an authentic thing. So you can see from the way people are, you can see right away what they believe, what they don't believe, and okay, but we need to know these things. So I'm saying right now, sometimes I see these politicians when they give the speech, charismatic, with all the hands and this, but you can see from their body language that at the time that they promise, they're lying. They themselves already know they're not planning to do what they say. But that's what their advisor tells them. So come on, you really want me to promise this? Mr. Barak, you don't have a choice. You want to get elected again? You need the Jews. You need their money. You have to say that you're going to do this and this and that. What you do later doesn't matter what you do later. Nobody cares. Nobody remembers even. 6 months from now, you think anybody would remember? Right now, we have an agenda. We have to get elected. But that's all these things is against the Torah. The Torah says, midvar sheker tirchak. You have to be real. You have to be honest. You have to be modest. You have to be humble. You cannot be a show-off. You have to think about the others. All the laws of the Torah are pure laws. There's no evil laws in the Torah. All the laws, you can go one by one and analyze them. You know right away this is divine laws, which we're going to actually analyze it in a few minutes together. But before we go into the actual topic, we are still in the introduction, and we would like to just understand one thing. The Muslims, they can prove their book is real. It takes me 10 minutes to prove the Quran is not the book of God. Maximum 10 minutes to anybody you want. You can bring the most intellectual Muslim in the world. It takes me 10 minutes. He will run away. Will never come back. Not only that, it will take me 3 more minutes to prove that according to the Quran, the Muslims have to bow down to the Jews, and they must give them the Holy Land all the way to Syria and to Iraq. They have to respect the Jews and help them and do everything for them. If they really believe in their book and they think God gave it, they might as well listen to him. And according to the Torah, Israel belongs to the Jews, according to the Quran. I always say, if I went to the United Nations instead of Bibi Netanyahu, I would finish the argument with the Muslim in 5 minutes in the United Nations. I would bring the Quran and say, ladies and gentlemen, assuming, Khalila, this is the Quran, assuming, I would say, dear Muslim cousins that's sitting here in the UN, this book, who gave it? They will all scream, Allah. Who is Allah? God. Okay. Who is Allah? The one who created the world. Yes. All right. Very good. So he created all of us. Yes. So everything he says in his book, we all must listen. Yes. So far, they cooperate with me. So I would say to them, let's read what God has to say to all his followers. You, all of you. And then I would read to them few verses in the Quran that God gave the Holy Land to the Jewish people after he took them out of Egypt from the evil people and brought them to the Promised Land. And if you have any question about the Quran, go and ask the Jews, because their book is more accurate than yours. That's what the Quran says. The verses inside the Quran. The argument in the UN would be over in 5 minutes. I would have 5 billion hits on YouTube. And by the way, become a rich man. It's enough, you get a penny on each one. And Baruch Hashem, then we can go and save the rest of the Jewish souls that, not understanding exactly what they do here. It's easy to talk. You and I know it's not so simple to do. But that's not why we're here today. Christians, even though most of them are not religious in the world, we can see, but some of them are religious. And they follow the New Testament. And they also believe in the Old Testament, which happened to be our Torah. The Christian cannot prove that the Torah, the New Testament is divine. Actually, they say clearly, it's not a matter of proving, it's a matter of faith. And we're not allowed to ask questions. In Christianity, do not allow question. If you believe or don't believe, you're not allowed to ask question. You cannot ask, Father, please explain how JC fed 500 people with 1 loaf of bread. You're not allowed to ask. It's a matter of faith. They will always answer you. It's question of faith. We are not allowed to ask. We have to believe. So, therefore, the Christians also do not know for sure if their book is from God or not. The fact that they keep it, that means they're foolish or no? So let me explain to you why they're not foolish. And then I will explain to you why they are. And then I'll let you choose which one of the 2 answers is better. The reason they're not foolish, because here is the point. If somebody comes to me, and I'm not religious, and he gives me the book, and he say to me, listen, this is a divine book. And I review the book, and I don't know. Some things are nice, some things are not so nice. I'm not sure. And I say to him, listen, you failed to prove to me that this is a divine book. I don't want to do anything, I don't want anything to do with that. So then this person would answer me, that's because you're a fool. If you were clever, just for the 1% chance that this book is from God, you would listen to it. And I say, why? He said, because look what God just said about someone like you. If you continue to live the way you are, and you don't observe the Sabbath, and you continue to steal, and you continue to do this, and you continue to do that, and you eat non-kosher, and you're not a nice person, and you're not generous, and you never donate, and you don't care about the poor, and you don't get married and have children, or you have children but you're not a good parent, all these things that God say about you, one day you will die, and you're going to pay a tremendous price for your crimes. You're not afraid? So I would have to answer, okay, I understand what you say, but I'm willing to take my chances. After all, what's the percentage that this book is from God? 2%? 3%? Then this person will tell me, let me ask you a question. If you did not drink for 3 days, and you're almost fainting and dying, you have maybe, 8 more hours to live, and you're in the middle of the desert, you're looking for water desperately, and then you found someone's house in the middle of nowhere. You knock on the door, you come in, you see some kind of a monk living there in the middle of nowhere, and he said, oh, you also got lost here in the middle of the desert? How many days you did not drink? He said, for 3 days. Give me something to drink. So listen, over here, you have 100 glasses of water, you see? But one of them has horrible poison in it, which means when you drink it, you die instantly. It eats you from inside. The other 99 are nice, cool water, and you can enjoy it and can save you right now. You live out of here fresh. But I tell you, if you continue to walk straight, 6 more hours straight, you will get to a safe city, plenty of water. You won't die. I can check you. I see that you can make it. Do you want to take your chance, or you want to walk another 6 hours and get to clear water and get safe? What would you do? Almost everybody would answer, you know what, I don't want to take a chance. Let me walk 6 more hours, and I want to live. I'm only 20. What should I die at 20? I have maybe another 60 more years to live. I'm not taking my chance. Then he would answer me, hey, what's the big deal? It's only 1 out of 100. 1% chance to die. 99% chance you live. You don't want to take your chance? No. Why? Because you're smart. A foolish person would drink. Smart person say rather suffer 6 more hours and live for sure. Why would I take a chance to die? Me and my good luck. As soon as I pick up a glass, that's the one with the poison. You know? So what happened? He would continue to walk. So far, everything I say makes sense or no? Okay. In that case, we are contradicting ourselves. We're not honest. Why are we not honest? Based on what I just say, all Jews in the world had to be religious. Why? Every Jew in the world believed that there's at least 1% chance that the Torah is the book of God. I mean, it can't be that so many millions of people in the history that gave their life for that book, and they telling the story of the Exodus of Egypt, and Mount Sinai, and God came, and he gave Moses the book, and so many things happen in the world, and everybody knows the Jews thanks to this book, and we are the nation of the book, and even the non-Jews are talking about that God gave us the book, and we are the nation of the book. So many things around us. It had to be 1% chance that really God gave the book. As a complete communist, secular Jew from Moscow. Complete. But 1% chance that it's a book of God, he has to admit there is, no? Why is not afraid to be Mechalel Shabbat, to violate, to light fire on Shabbat? The book says it's a horrible crime. Why is not afraid, for instance, to steal, if he steals? Why is not afraid to eat pork? It's all big sins. 1% chance that is from God, and you messing up with the wrong one. If a person was about to take something, like you see a diamond on a street, there is a street fair, and people have booths, and he see diamonds over there, and he walks over there, and his wife say, don't go there. So, right, it belongs to Tony Montana, the head of the mafia. Right, the way you make a left turn. That belongs to Mr. Goldstein. With him, you can mess, no problem. You want to steal from Tony Montana, you're crazy? Why do you think he leaves it like that and he's not watching? Because nobody dares to touch my diamonds. As soon as you make one more step, you're finished. You want to go against Hashem when he said that if you do this and this and that, you chas v'shalom may lose your share to the world to come? So this is with 1% chance. So based on what I just say, everyone that would follow the religion is clever. Everyone who does not follow the religion takes a huge risk and is not clever. So therefore, so far, the statement is that the Jews that are religious, Christians that are religious, and Muslims that are religious are smart. And all Muslim and Christian and Jews that are not religious are not smart. But there's a problem with this statement. Why it's the problem? Because the Muslims, all they need is 10 minutes of paying attention, and they know for sure, with no doubt, that their book is not from God. Not even 1% chance that their book is from God. Same thing the Christians. And what about the Jews? The Jews are the only people in the history that it takes them maximum 20 minutes to know 101% guarantee that our book can never be written by a human being. It's 101%. The one is a bonus. 101% chance to know in 20 minutes guarantee. Nobody can argue with you after that the Torah that we receive It can never be written by a human being, only by the creator of the world. So what are the odds now? Christianity, 5-10 minutes to prove that it's false, it's not from God. I did it in 3 hours with my debate with a Christian priest, which I brought you, a DVD. You can go and watch it. In the end, he said, he put me in a hole. I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of there. This is a professor for Christianity, teaching Christianity in the University of Manhattan for 31 years. Not a beginner, 31 years. And he said, you put me in a hole. I don't know how I'm going to get myself out of there. And I just told him, I just proved to you a religion is a man-made religion. It was never given by God. It's false. And he didn't say, no, you didn't prove to me. His natural reaction was, but my heart does not let me leave it. Which means, in his mind, he already realized he has to get rid of it. But in his heart, that's a whole different story. In psychology, there's something that's called cognitive dissonance. You heard about it? If you ever learn psychology, this is a very solid rule. What the heart and the brain, when they receive the information, what the brain receives in 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 1 minute, may take the heart 7 years, 10 years, many, many years to agree with. For instance, when Albert Einstein came with his discoveries, the whole world were in shock. You're changing everything we know about life, about nature. Now all of a sudden you come with your statement. It's like dropping an atomic bomb. All scientists in the world united against his discoveries. It can't be. But they were checking what he came up with, and they all came to the same conclusion. But they continued to refuse his discovery for 7 more years. Until they say, wait, how long we will continue to say impossible, impossible, when we come to the same result? It's about time we surrender, put our ego on the side, and admit that he found something we didn't know until now. And today everybody knows about it, nobody questions it. It's a fact already in science. But it took many years to understand. What the brain sees and what the heart is 2 different things. So the same thing over here. He realized that I showed him that Christianity was never given by God. He knew it, and many other ones knew it. And I already have 7 priests who left the church and became Jewish, converted to Judaism. Yes, and many hundreds of other regular Christians that left the religion and became Jewish, Baruch Hashem. Some of them in yeshivot, learning full day, from all over the world, from Europe, from Singapore, from Arab countries, Christians all over the world, and even some Muslims. When I went to Jerusalem, I went to Telstone. It's right next to Yerushalayim. Telstone, 5 minutes ride from Yerushalayim. I went to pray there in the morning. One guy came to me with talit and tefillin. נעים מאוד, אני בזכותך פה. איך שיסי פה, the Arabs don't know how to say פה, they say בו. אני בזכותך בו. Right, the way I know in Arab. Arab with talit and tefillin. So I knew something here. So he said to me, I converted. I listened to your lectures about the Quran, then about Judaism, and I realized. I left the Quran, I went to yeshiva. 6 o'clock in the morning is in the shul already with talit and tefillin. You have like these also. There are some who join ISIS, and there are some who join the yeshiva. This is the way the free choice works. So now here is the point. How long does it prove to show that Christianity is false? Let me show you how quick. In the New Testament, which is supposed to be a continuation of the Torah, it comes from the same God. If God wrote in part 1 one thing, he cannot contradict himself in part 2, right? It's God. He doesn't make mistakes like people. People make mistakes, memory issues, lack of concentration. Maybe 20 years later you don't remember the details anymore. But God is God. If he wrote that the name of the person is Abraham, it cannot be 20 years later when you write another book, a different name. If it's a different name, for sure God never gave the book. It's clear, right? So in a book of Christianity, it says Jacob went to Egypt with 75 people. But the Torah says that he went to Egypt with 70 people. And they admit that Torah is the book of God that was given to the Jews in Mount Sinai in front of millions of witnesses. So in a Torah it says Jacob went to Egypt, 70 people. In Parashat Shmot, you go to the New Testament and it became 75. What happened to God? He doesn't remember? He forgot? Such an important event? The whole foundation of the Jewish people, when they went to Egypt and became a nation over there, started with 70, not 75. Here is mistake number one. Mistake number two, they trying to prove that JC is the Messiah. That's what Christianity is all about. Son of God, Messiah, you choose it. They themselves argue. Son of God or the Messiah, but it's somebody special. How they trying to prove that JC is a Messiah? They follow what the Torah say. The Torah say Mashiach ben David. Messiah, son of David. It has to come from the family of King David. The genealogy must be from King David, not just a righteous person. He has to be righteous and a Jew and come from the family of King David. If he's from a different family, he's not the Messiah, no matter how great he is. That's the rule. So they're trying to prove that JC is a grandson of King David. If they establish this proof, then there is a chance it's the Messiah. So how the New Testament begin? Proving all the generation from King David all the way to Joseph and Mary. Joseph the carpenter, a Jew, Yosef HaNagar, that met Miriam, another Jew. They fell in love, fell in love. And now they wanted to get married. How the people used to get married back in the days, they do chuppah and kiddushin like we do today, but they don't move the same night home. We do chuppah and moving to the house to be intimate together in the same night. Back in the day, the tradition was chuppah and kiddushin now. Okay, she's a married woman. Then he goes away. He comes back with some money that he will build himself a home. And then when he comes, they move in together and they become intimate. As long as they did not become intimate, it's called in the Torah, na'ara ameorasa. Someone who had intimacy with her and him, death penalty. Even though her husband never touched her yet. They only put a finger on a ring. He gave her the ketubah, chuppah and kiddushin, but they did not move in together yet. But she's already a married woman. Later, when they move in, it's already mekudeshet, eshet ish. Okay. So now, Joseph the carpenter comes back after a few months. He sees that his wife, she's pregnant. He knows he's never been with her. He asks her, what's going on? She said, don't be angry. God came to me in a dream, and he made me pregnant. God made me pregnant in a dream, and this is going to be a holy boy, and I'm a virgin, and that's the story. And then JC is born. He goes to yeshiva, he has bar mitzvah, they put him tefillin, everything. Okay, now this is the story how Christianity starts. Then they're trying to link Joseph the carpenter for about almost 30 generations all the way to King David. The New Testament are 4 books, and then they have the Acts, editions. They have John, Mark, Luke, and Matthew, 4 books, which are supposed to be divine books, continuation of the Torah and the prophets. In one book, it describes the genealogy of King David, and in another book, it describes the same genealogy. There's only one problem. If you compare the 2 lists, 22 mistakes. Between one list to another, there are 22 different names. So you have to make up your mind. Who was the father of who? Imagine in the Torah it say Abraham is the father of Isaac. Isaac is the father of Jacob. Jacob is the father of Levi. And then in another book it say Abraham is the father of Moshe. Moshe is the father of Avner. Avner is the father of Muhammad. If you have it in 2 chapters in the Torah, can you rely on the Torah after that? A book like this can be from God? Come on. It's insulting the intelligence. God doesn't know the right genealogy of the Messiah. In one book he writes one list, and in another book he writes completely different name. That's one problem. But it gets worse. Why? God wrote in the Torah one of the biggest crimes in life is to have relationship with a married woman. After she's married to another man, actually being with her is worse than actual murder. That's how big is the sin. Most Jews don't know it, but that's sin written in the Torah, and the punishment for that is worse than the punishment of a murderer, as you can see. So Eshet Ish is one of the things that is the hardest thing to make repentance. There's nothing that God hates more than a married woman who cheated on her husband. Nothing more than that. It's one of the worst crimes. Why would he go and violate his own rule? If he said, don't dare to come near a married woman, and if a married woman went with another man that is not her husband, this is an illegitimate boy, mamzer. From all the women in the world, there are millions and billions of women in the world that are single. Many of them just came out of Bet Yaakov with a nice skirt, very religious. He needed to go to a married woman to make her pregnant. Why would he go against his own rules? Very silly. How can you believe such thing? Plus, if you still want to believe this, you have to admit that the religion starts right away with 50% doubt. Because she said about a dream that she had. Can you prove a dream? You can never prove a dream. And not only that, she had all the reasons in the world to make up a story, because otherwise they will execute her. Because back in the days when a married woman cheated on her husband, they didn't give her a television show, like today, and a prize. Back in the day, it was execution. Today, she became famous. Baruch Hashem, come have a talk show. You know, wow, she's so famous, she make millions, she's going to write a biography now. Everyone, can we get an advice from you how you did it? But back in the days, everybody understood a woman that did such a thing, it's a crime with no forgiveness. By the Arabs, it's like that until today. The rest of the world forgot about it. But it was a very strict law. So she had only one reason to get saved, making up a story about a dream. And he loved her. He doesn't want her to get killed. So he, took the bait. And that's how it all started. 1/3 mistake and we move on. Thank you. 1/3 mistake and we move on. Where is the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that our fathers and mothers are buried? In what city? City of Hebron, right? Every kid from yeshiva, go to one of the yeshivot here in Staten Island, pre-1A, first grade. Moishale, where is the cave of Me'arat HaMachpelah? Yitzchak, where is the cave of Me'arat HaMachpelah? Yankev, where is Me'arat HaMachpelah? Not one kid in the world will make mistake. Everybody would say, Hebron. That's a fact. What can I do that in a book that they claim that came from God, it's written that the cave of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is in the city of Shechem, in Nablus. Even such an important detail like that, God forgot. He forgot when Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are buried. According to them. So when I show it to that priest, he almost fainted. He drank 17 bottles of water. I'm, Baruch Hashem, will finish this lecture with half a glass of water. But he drank 17 bottles from the panic. Where does it say such a thing, he said. I showed him, Act 7, that's the source. Oh, you put me in a hole. God makes such a mistake. Now, I only show you 3 mistakes out of 300s that I know myself. And there are thousands of mistakes in the book. That leaves no doubt you should not waste a second on that book. Not that I suspect that you want to become Christians. The reason I'm telling it to you now, because soon when I prove to you how we know the Torah is divine, you will know how to compare. That's the only reason I tell you that, because I didn't come here to brainwash you not to become Christians. No. I would not waste a minute on it. But it's important for the arguments later on when we prove that the Torah is divine. What about Quran? According to the Quran, do you know who the uncle of JC? The Christian JC. Who is his uncle according to the Quran? He has a very important uncle. According to the Quran, who is his uncle? Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu is his uncle according to the Quran. Even though Moshe lived 1300 years before JC was born, they made Moshe and Aaron JC's uncle. So JC is the nephew of Moshe Rabbeinu. How JC became the nephew of Moshe Rabbeinu in the Quran? The Quran made a mistake between two Miriams in history. Miriam, the sister of Moshe and Aaron, and Miriam, the mother of JC. They made a mistake between those two Miriam and combined them to one woman. So when she came supposedly pregnant, and she come and claim, I never cheated, and they told her, the people of her city, that's what the Quran said, the people of her city told her, oh, Maria, what is this in your stomach that you brought here? Your father wasn't a bad man and your mother was not a prostitute. How do you embarrass us like this? She said, please, don't kill him. We may have a use for him. They tell the whole story now. And then they say, Maria, daughter of Amram. And you can see from the story that in 1 second, by mistake, the one who invented the Quran mixed between Miriam and Neviah, the sister of Moshe and Aaron, to this Miriam, and all of a sudden they became one woman. Another mistake in the Quran. According to the Quran, Paro and Haman had a meeting. They wanted to know how to fight the God of the Jews. Haman was wicked, Paro was wicked. They both hated the God of the Jews and the Jewish people. So the faker that made up that book, he wanted to make a story. How is he making a story? He looked at the Tanakh of the Jews. He see Paro, it's very bad. Then he reads about Haman in Megillat Esther, because it's all in one book. Oh, Haman is also very bad. Let me make up a story. Paro and Haman had a meeting. They want to go against the God of the Jews. They want to make a tower. That's what it says in the Quran. There's only one problem. By the time the last Paro died, only 1,000 years later, Haman was born in Persia, nothing to do with Egypt. And there was no internet. He couldn't Google him. So they couldn't meet. There's no telephone. He didn't know. He couldn't know about him, and he couldn't know about him, and it doesn't matter. It's 1,000 years apart. So the Quran has mistakes that even in kindergarten they don't make. Right here, in this building, maybe kids learn. They don't make that mistake. Now let's talk about the Torah. Also, the Quran, by the way, started with the story of Muhammad, that he came from the desert with no witnesses, and he claimed that angel Gabriel came to him. Angel Gabriel, it's Malach Gabriel, the Jewish angel, and he gave him the Quran. How many people witnessed that story? According to them, nothing. No one. So therefore, Miriam, story in a dream. 50% doubt right away. Muhammad, nobody witnessed that event. 50% right away. Now let's talk about Judaism. Judaism, it's a religion that it's impossible to fake. Even the most clever faker in history could not fake 1 page of the Torah. Impossible. Why? I have more than 100 proofs why it's impossible to fake even 1 page of the Torah. Since we're not going to spend all night here together, even though you want very much so, but don't worry. But I brought you the DVD. And then when you go later on, it's professional with music, with the sources, you can follow it, you can make notes. It's 100% proving. It was translated to 8 or maybe 9 languages already. To English, Hebrew, Russian, Spanish, French, Italian, German, Czech. So many languages all over the world. People watching it and they're changing their opinion completely about atheism, about communism, against Islam and Christianity. Why? The film leaves no doubt. After you watch it, you know. What do you know? You know there is a God, one God only. You know he gave the Torah and no other book. Christianity, Islam, Krishna, Shnishna, all these 80,000 names, all of them fake that came after. None of them is from that God. You know there's life after death. You know the person is body and soul. You know that life is a test. I'm testing you to see would you listen to me or not. You know the world is based on reward and punishment, is evil inclination. You know the Torah was given to us in a public event that you cannot fake. You cannot fake an event in front of 3.5 million people. especially when there's no microphone, no speakers, no fireworks, none of these things. We're talking a very, very primitive generation. To be a faker of the Torah, you would have to write the Torah completely different. You would not take a risk. You will not come to 3.5 million people and convince them that certain things happen to them when you know they never happened to them. Can I come to all of you today and try to convince you what happened to you in the last year, and you listen to my story and you're wondering, none of the things you say happened to us? For instance, I come to you today and I say, ladies and gentlemen, all of you sitting here in front of me, you know I took you out of Japan. I brought big eagles. The eagles made an airplane. They all combined together. You all sat on their wings. And I brought you all the way from Japan, and they landed right here in Staten Island. And now, you know, and I built you this shul, and all these chairs, I got it, and I did this, and I that. I say to him, what is this guy? Where is he came from? And then I said, didn't you see yesterday how I gave you bread, hot, fresh from the oven, landed all right to your hand on your table from heaven? You say, what is this? Right? How long would it take until you say, listen, make sure next time you know who you're inviting to speak. This guy's not normal. How long would it take this scam? How long until you begin to throw tomatoes on me, if I'm lucky? How, supposedly, for those who claim that the Torah is not from God, that means a human being made it up. Now, if a human being writes a book, can he convince the people that received the book from him that they heard him speaking to God? Can I convince all of you that all of you heard me speaking to God and you heard his voice speaking to me, and you all say, yes, sir, we believe you? Would you do such a thing or no? Huh? If I tell you that yesterday you heard me speaking to God, and you know it never happened, how long will I have to sweat to convince you that all of you agree that you heard me speaking to God? Will I be able to do such thing? No. As soon as you read it in the Torah, you know I'm lying. You would never agree to change your lifestyle for my lies. Let me make myself a little bit more clear. Let me make myself a little bit more clear. One day, the Jews came out of Egypt after 1 year of unbelievable miracles that we all read now in Passover in a Haggadah night. Unbelievable, the plagues, the 10 plagues, the exodus of Egypt, the Egyptian drown, all kinds of things that it's very hard to believe how things like this even happen. And then all the Jews gather around the mountain 7 weeks later, which is coming right now, holiday of Shavuot, 7 weeks after Pesach. And we receive the Torah from the creator of the world. Now, what's the difference between us and all the other 80,000 religions? All of them started with a story of one individual. 80,000 times one person came and made up a lie. I'm a prophet, God spoke to me. Buddha one day, 2,400 years ago, a person named Buddha, he came and he claimed that he had an enlightenment. He saw the light. What does it mean he had a spiritual enlightenment? Only he knows. How many people witnessed it? Nobody. And he started to sell his story to people, and today there are close to 1 billion people in the world that follow this Buddhism. What do they have? Basically nothing. Story of a person, and that's how a religion started. Same thing, if you follow the story of Christianity, is word by word the story of Krishna. Born from a virgin, same story. You can see that the Christians copy it from another fake religion that crossed Krishna. So it's very interesting, because the Torah, it started in a public event. When Moshe brought the Torah to the Jewish people, and they opened it for the first time, they started to read about what happened to them in Egypt in the last year. You were slaves, I released you, I destroyed the Egyptians, I'm giving you bread falling from heaven every day, I split the Red Sea for you, the Egyptian drowned, you went through, all of you heard the voice of God speaking to you. It's enough that one of these miracles did not happen. The Jewish people would raise their hand when Moshe came to scam them, supposedly, and say, excuse me, Mr. Moshe ben Amram, what are you thinking, that we are so foolish? You're telling us fairy tales that never happened? We never been in Egypt. We never heard the voice of God. We never got bread falling from heaven. We didn't see the Egyptians are drowning. We didn't see all Egypt became blood. We didn't see billions of frogs everywhere. We didn't see bad animals coming to Egypt. All these things that you just told her that happened to us the last 12 months, we're very, very sorry. We never saw it. So therefore, we know you're lying and God never gave you the book. Now, let me ask you a question. When a person is trying to make a fake book, will he bring a difficult book to follow or a very easy book to follow? The harder I make the book and the laws, the more enemies I'm going to have, no? Today, if you say some of the truth of the Torah, criticism non-stop in the internet. How do you dare to say such a thing? Most of the rabbis are afraid to mention the word punishment today in the world. You ask them, why don't you tell them what's going to be their punishment if they continue to live like that? No, that's not our way. Over here, we don't say the word punishment. We only speak positive. But why? It's a part of the Torah. Now, why do I need this headache? They'll never leave me alone for months now. Let me just speak positive. If they like it, fine. Not, it's not my problem. Today, a person thinks a million times before he dares to say something to the public. Why? He wants to be politically correct. That's the trend today, politically correct. Make everybody likes you. What kind of a person will have the guts to invent a fake religion and make it the hardest you can imagine? 613 laws. So many laws. You have to give 10% from your income. You have to close your businesses 1 day a week. You have to dress very modest, even if it's 120 degrees with 100% humidity. You have to have a lot of children, even in a time there were no easy maids to get. In a desert, 14, 15, 17 children, don't complain. There's no disposable diapers. You have to wash the diapers. You go, you wash it here, you put it on a new baby. You know, you have to make the shoes on your own. There was no laundry machine like today. You have to take all the clothing to the lake in the middle of nowhere and wash it over there and bring it back and hang it. Life was about 1,000 times harder than today. So to come to bring a book like this and tell the people you're not allowed this and you're not allowed that and this is only what you're allowed to eat. 90% of the food in the world you're not allowed to eat. There's only specific things you can eat and all kinds of laws. And when we begin to analyze the list of the laws, if a faker made it, when a faker writes a book, what's his incentive? He wants money. He wants kavod, honor, that people respect him. He thinks he's the best. He wants people to listen to his opinions. He wants to be a leader because he thinks he's the only one who can handle such a large nation. He wants to be memorized in a history of a legend. Did I include everything? Or there are more reasons why a person will invent a fake book? Why would a person invent a fake book? What is he trying to get? Kavod, power, honor, money. Everyone bow down to him. Everyone kiss his hand. You know, he gets to get the nicest girls in the country to be his wives. He's a king. He wants to be a king. Now, if I want to be a king, please explain to me why will I make 80% from the 613 laws? Not only that they do not benefit me in any possible way, they are against me. Against me. Why? Because first of all, I myself have to do it. My children will have to do it. So we also have to do it. What did I gain by that? It's not that it's only for you, but not for me. I myself have to do it. That's number one. Number two, what benefit would I have that the entire nation once a year has to clean all the wheat and the barley, everything from their homes, and make sure there's no crumbs of bread on the floor? Does it make my bank account bigger? Does it make people like me more or hate me more? If I come and say to all the women 1 month before Passover, Kadima, let's go, begin to clean. You know, when the amigas were not around. You know, there's nobody to hire. So therefore, the ladies right away target me as the new Adolf. This guy is a big threat. We have to eliminate him somehow. It's a very big risk, this guy. What do I gain? I want all the people to follow me, to give me money, to kiss my hand, to say that I'm the greatest. What did I gain by telling people, take lulav, hold the lulav and etrog, leave your $10 million mansion, move to the sukkah with bugs and flies, and go like this? What does it give me? Does it make me happy? Does it make people like me better, or they think I'm crazy? They think our new leader is hallucinating. What is he gaining by holding this? Looks like a sword. We walk like this. What does it give me? Why do I have to leave my mansion and live in a sukkah like this from Home Depot? What does it give me? I'll give you another example. The Torah say, if you walk and you see a nest of a bird, if you see the mother with the chicks there or the eggs, get rid of the mother, make the mother fly away, take the chicks, put them somewhere, they're gonna die eventually. The mother will come back, the mother see that the babies are gone, the mother will be very upset, and thanks to that you will have long life. Now when I give my nation this law, will they appreciate me, or now they're gonna be sure that I lost it completely? What person would identify with such a law? Everyone would tell me, excuse me, what are you gaining by doing such a thing? It's an act of cruelness. What are you gaining? Did I make more honor from that? No, people disrespect me for that. Will I make more money? No, because people don't trust me anymore after making such laws. What person will invent such a law if it's not from God? What? You tell me, what person will invent such a law? Give me one reason why. What person will take such risk to write certain things in the Torah that it takes a minute in a history to find him that is wrong, and this whole religion goes to the garbage, God forbid. Give you an example. The Torah said to the Jews, we just read it yesterday on a shul, Parashat Shmini, chapter of Shmini, Sefer Vayikra. What does it say? את זה תאכלו מכל אשר במים. כל אשר לא סנפיר וקשקשת תאכלו. This is what you're allowed to eat from the oceans. Everything that has fins and scales is kosher. If it doesn't have fins and scales, it's not kosher. Therefore, I don't know, there's so many thousand different kinds of fish. What, do I have to know all of them by name? I don't know. I'm a fisherman. I go to the lake. Something came up. I look at him, smooth body, no scales, throw him back. Or call Muhammad. Muhammad, come here, I have a gift for you. Don't kill me, please, take. Next time, remember, I gave you a fish. So what's the point? So, you can tell your children later, you know how we're alive? Thanks to a fish I once caught. We got saved. But one way or the other, the Torah say, it has to have two witnesses, fins and scales. You saw fins and scales, you're allowed to eat, whether you know the name, you don't know, whether you saw this fish before or not. And we're not only talking about fish, everything that lives in the water, everything. Now, here is the time to clarify one important law. You know that the Torah, it's a combination of the written law and the oral law. Torah shebichtav, Torah shebe'al peh. Why it's important now to push it into the lecture? Because unlike other religions, that they have only one written document or don't have any document, we the Jews have their scroll of the Torah that we take out and we read in it, and then we have the oral Torah. Which one of the two is basically where all Judaism comes from? Everything we do in Judaism, everything, with no exception to the rule, comes from the oral laws. Nothing comes from the written Torah. Let me explain what I mean. If you read the written Torah, you would read 613 laws, 248 positive commandments, 365 restrictions, just like the body of the human being. The body of the human being has 248 organs. That's why God gave 248 positive commandments. 365 ligaments, gidim ligaments, 365 restriction. The body is 613 parts, the Torah 613 laws. One law per organ in a body, one restriction per ligament in a body. And that's how the soul, which looks exactly like the body without material, just an image, when a person dies, according to Kabbalah, the Ari say, the Ari is one of the biggest Mekubalim in history, that as soon as the soul comes out up to the court of heaven, before the trial begins, you can already see an image of the soul which laws that person kept, which laws he did not keep. Some people, there's a puzzle of 613 pieces. Some of them are there, some pieces are missing. So you have a picture, but not so clear, because there are some bald spots. Some people, everything is full. Very, very big righteous people. Some people, it's all empty. There's not even one piece in a puzzle. Why? They didn't keep even one mitzvah. Nothing. They grew up, they live like goyim. They did everything the goyim did. They don't care about religion. Even mezuzah they don't put in a home, some people. So they don't have anything. No circumcision for the baby, no matzot on Pesach, no nothing, no Shabbat, no tefillin, no. So basically when they come, they have zero, nothing. Everything is empty. So now here is the point. The point here that if you read in a written Torah how to keep the laws, you will not be able to keep one law from the Torah. Because the written Torah only tells us the name of the law. That's it. He does not give one instruction how to keep it. For instance, the Torah say you should have a sign on your hand and in between your eyes. It doesn't say what sign, what do you make that sign from, how do you make it, from what animal you take the skin, how the entire process from A to Z. If one of them you do incorrectly, it's not kosher. You go and buy a pair of tefillin today in a store, a good one, will cost you about $1,500 in a store. So it's about a year process until they make it, from the time they slaughter the cow, until they put the skin in a lime, and until it gets dry. Then they have brushes, they take off the hair, and they process it. And then they take it to a place, if you go to Yerushalayim, you see how they do it with heat, and they make a shape of it. It's an incredible job. It's harder than to make diamonds or bracelet or anything you can think of. If they would make it here in America, it would be $20,000 a pair. If you have to pay $30, $40 an hour for professional, it will cost you a fortune here. Baruch Hashem, it's made in Israel, and the people that sell it, they're interested that people will buy it, not just to make money. Because the main thing is for the mitzvah. That's why it's so cheap. You know, so the point is that after you prepare the cases, which is all skin, it's all leather from the cow. This black that you see before you paint it, it's all leather. Like the bottom of a shoe, same thing. And after you make it into shape, and they have separation in the head, it's very thin skin inside, with no holes, and then you have to take 4 chapters of the Torah on a special, it looks like paper, but it's really skin, very, very thin. And until they write it with a feather, and they make the ink naturally, and they write it, and they fold it, and they take the ligament of the car that looks like fishing string, and they tie it, and they put it inside, and the way they close, it's such a process, you have no idea. Where all these laws came from, not one of them mentioned in a written Torah. But if one of them you skip, the tefillin is not kosher. You pay the money to the garbage. It's like you did not make the mitzvah. One leather is missing from inside, from hundreds of leathers, it's not kosher. One leather touched another leather, 2 leathers became into one, it's not kosher. So many laws, you have to learn years to know how to prepare tefillin and to check and what's kosher, what's not kosher. Where all this knowledge came from? The answer, God gave it to Moshe, and when Moshe came down, he started to teach them how to make tefillin. How did he know? Now, all over the world, Jews with no telephone, no internet, no communication, they all gathered in Israel 60, 70, 80 years ago. They all came to Israel combined, they all brought black tefillin. Russian Jews, Yemenite, German, Syrian, Persian, all came tefillin square. Did you ever see tefillin that is round? Did you ever see yellow tefillin? Did you ever see tefillin that you put in a pocket? No. Everything, the same thing. Where all these laws came, that's what we call oral Torah. I give you one example, one more example. Brit Milah, circumcision. The Torah say every baby, male, in the 8th day, you have to cut his orla. What is the meaning of the word orla? The Torah doesn't say. Where is the orla that you need to cut? The Torah doesn't say. How to cut it? The Torah doesn't say. What happens if the baby is sick? Can you still do it or not? The Torah doesn't say. What happened? Now, when do you do it? On the day or on the night? The Torah doesn't say. What happened if it falls on Shabbat? We already know in Shabbat you're not allowed to take blood out of the body. What happened if the brit falls on Shabbat? Should you do it or not? Because it looks like a contradiction. You have to cut in the 8th day, but it fell on Shabbat, and at Shabbat you're not allowed to cut. Which one of the two laws would win? So many things, none of that is written. All of that was given to Moshe verbally. Now the question is, if God gave 613 laws to the Jewish people, why he did not write in one book the name of the mitzvah and all the instructions, everything in one book? First of all, the answer to that is, today when they ask you to pick up the Torah and take it out, half of the people on the audience cannot pick up the Torah. It's so heavy, especially the old-fashioned one. It's so heavy, you have to go pick it up like this and to show it to the people. As it is, it's so heavy, most people cannot lift it. If you had to write all the oral laws in it, you would need 50 people that won the championship in the Olympic Games, you know, all the Alexei and Vladimir in Russia, all these ones that pick up, 50 of them combined will not be able to pick it up. That's how wide it would be with the oral Torah. Everything written on a scroll, you know how much? All the Talmud, imagine all the Talmud you have to write on a scroll. It will be all the way from here to across the street, the size of the Torah. So it's not realistic. But that's not the main reason. The main reason is because God did not want the non-Jewish nations to have all the secrets of his laws. If they know that there are 613 laws, he can care less. If they even know the name of the mitzvot, he can care less. But if they would know all the secrets, how to do all the mitzvot, that's a very big danger to the Jewish nation. Why? Because once the whole world saw that the Jews receiving a book from God, everybody wants to have a share with this God. What, the Goyim also wants to be religious and have connection to God. The people, right? Most of the Goyim, why Arab kill? Why they do all this terrorism? In the name of God. They want connection with God. Many Christian missionaries all over the world, in the name of religion, people want connection to the God. So if they see a public event that millions of Jews hearing the voice of God and they receive a book and the 10 Commandments, what would prevent them from joining the Jewish nation right away if they will have a copy of the book? They will know how to make themselves tefillin. They would know how to write mezuzah. The beard everyone had back in the day. They didn't have Gillette yet. So everybody had a beard. Everybody had a turban back in the day. So what makes the difference between a Jew and a non-Jew? If somebody comes with a tefillin, with talit, with a beard, and he comes, and he knows all the secrets of the Torah. He knows about the laws of Shabbat. He knows the laws of blessing. He knows the Jewish history because he read it in the Torah. He knows how to circumcise the baby. He knows everything because it was all in one book. Nobody after 3-4 generations in the world would know if he's Jewish or not. It will be dismissed, the whole world. No one would know. How do I know who's my grandmother? Maybe she's one of the faker who joined the Jewish nation because she had all the information. Nobody would be able to know if he's Jewish or not. So to reserve his children, the VIP family, as the Torah say, you are my children, I chose you from all the nation to be mine, and I'm making an eternal covenant with you today. To reserve us as a one unit, he made laws. We are not allowed to marry any other nations. We have to stay one nation. We don't have permission. You may come and say, okay, well, that's because we are the best. The answer, not true. Why? Because if that was the truth, then you would only say it when the Jew is very righteous and the non-Jew is very wicked. Then the Jew is not allowed to marry the non-Jew. But here, if the non-Jew is very, very righteous, very spiritual, loving God, praying to him all day, doesn't steal, doesn't hurt people, help the poor, help widows, do wonderful things, all day praying to God, I love you, but it's not Jewish. And then the Jew, criminal, murderer, rapist, thief, scams, problems, destroying life of people, him and her, he should kiss her feet if she agreed to marry him. She's such a righteous girl, this non-Jew, and he's such a monster, he should beg her to agree to marry him. Now, technically, she's a million times better than him in the eyes of God. She's not a sinner. She loves God. She doesn't hurt anyone. She's wonderful. And he's a monster. If he dies, he has no share to the world to come. He's the worst Jew in history. And he doesn't have permission to marry her. So you see that he has nothing to do with who is better and who is not better. It's to reserve the nation. You should know one thing. The Jewish nation today are only 13.2 million Jews in the whole world. We have to ask ourselves, how can it be? We started in the same generation like the Chinese people after the flood. 4,200 years ago, there was a big flood in the world. All the idol worshippers, all the murderers, all the rapists, all the thieves, all these kind of people were cleaned from the face of the earth in a flood. Huge tsunami that took over the entire world. Noah and his family got saved. After they came from the ark, God gave him 7 laws. It's called until today the 7 law of Noah for the Gentiles. All the people in the world had to keep the 7 laws, include the Hebrews, before Judaism started. Everybody. 900 years after the flood, the story of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, the Jews went to Egypt, they came out of Egypt. 900 years later, the Jews received the Torah. Up to the moment they received the Torah, there were Hebrews, but they were also like Gentiles. They had to keep 7 laws. Once we got the Torah, God said to us, you are not Gentiles anymore. You're not one of the nation. Today I'm making a covenant with you, thanks to your father, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that follow and pass my test. And I swore to them that I will benefit their children, and I must keep my promise. So not thanks to you, thanks to your father, I'm obligated to give you this Torah and to reserve you, and I'm making you a special nation. You are holy because I'm holy. You don't have permission to behave like the Gentiles. You cannot marry them. You cannot call yourself with their names. You cannot wear their clothes. You cannot be too close with them that you may fall in love and has to get married. You have strict laws. And again, it's not because you're better than him. No, the Torah says clearly, I'm giving you this book not thanks to you. Thanks to your fathers, because you are a stiff-necked nation. Actually, when Hashem gave us the Torah, he gave us a pinch. You are stiff-necked nation, stubborn. If it was up to you, you maybe didn't deserve to get it. But what can I do? When I promise, I keep my promise. And I made a promise to Yaakov Avinu and his children. His name was changed to Israel, and I'm giving you the Torah, and I must take you to the Holy Land, and I have to bring you over there, and you are my children, and I will never replace you with another nation. That's all guarantees that we got from God. That's why when the Muslims come and say, well, God chose the Jews, but when the Jews betrayed him so many times, he threw them out, and now it's our job to do the right thing. They live in illusion. Even if all Jews were all wicked, and all Muslims would be very fanatic with love to God, it still will not take them over us. And again, not because we're better than them. Maybe overall they did more for him, but doesn't matter, because what the Torah promised will never change. God is not a politician. When he promised something, he always prevails. Now let's go back to the proof I started to give. I'll give you 2 or 3 proofs, and then I'll give you some time for questions, and the rest you can watch in a film. Proof number 1 for today is the Torah said to the Jews, Everything that has fins and scales, you're allowed to eat. Now we have to go to the oral Torah because there is no way to understand one verse on a written Torah before we check what the oral Torah has to tell us about it. And when we go to the oral Torah tells us something shocking. What does it say? Everything that lives in the water, if it has scales, for sure it will have fins, guarantee. I made them all, I'm telling you. I'm telling you the secret. Therefore, if somebody give you half a fish raw, you don't see the fins because he cut it out. You never saw in your life this fish. I don't know, you're in jail. And he comes to you and say, here, take this half a fish, cook it for yourself. You don't see the fins, but you see the scales on the fish. You don't need to see the fins. Why? Because the oral Torah promise, if it has scales, for sure it had fins. You don't have to worry. Why? I never made one creature in the oceans or in the rivers that had scales with no fins. Fins always have scales. Scales always have fins. But if it has fins, not necessarily it has scales. Like dolphin and shark, they have smooth body. The fact that you have fins and you swim with that doesn't mean you have scales. But if you have scales that you scrape the body and they fall off, you know those little ones, clear ones, they fall off. If you see scale on a fish, it's kosher right away. Now, we are now 3,330 years after the Torah was given to us. 3,300 years. Until this moment, how much of the world is water, do you know? 72% of the world is water. How deep? All the way from here to Manhattan and coming back. That's how deep. 12 kilometers or more. That's what they found. It's much, much deeper, but they can go because of the pressure. The pressure is tremendous in the bottom of the ocean. You know, if you look at your watch, they always tell you can go 30 feet below, you can go 20 feet below. Why? The deeper you go, the more pressure on the glass. It will explode from the pressure. Or in the ears. So therefore, the Torah says, if somebody will ever find one fish or one creature anywhere in the world, in any generation, that had scales but did not have fins, that's basically the end of Judaism. It will be the first mistake in the Torah. First mistake in the Torah. Why? The Torah promised, you saw scales, you can eat it. Don't worry. For sure it had fins. If one Chris scientist will come and show you, look, in Florida in a lab, we took the DNA of fish 1, and we took the DNA of fish number 2. In the lab, we did all the experiments that we do, and look what came out. Fish that have scales but doesn't have fins. It has a tail, like a snake. That will be the end of Judaism, even though it did it artificially. Why? Because the Torah promised, and this is the oral Torah. Some Jews say, Rabbi, I believe in a written Torah. Come on, I'm not a goy. I believe in a written Torah. The oral Torah is the one I have problems with. The rabbi made it up. Every day they add something new to the law. Like the rabbis are bored. They make a committee. Okay, gentlemen, what new decree we have to invent this week to make the life of our brothers harder? Let's see. Such nonsense you hear sometimes from the people, you cannot believe if it's a joke or not. The rabbis never invented anything. The rabbi only transfer what they received from their fathers and their rabbis all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu. So, when the time the Torah was given to us, half of the species that lives in the water did not even exist because they always mix together naturally and they create new species, right? And they create new species, and plus people in laboratories, they make new species, and 3,300 years, nobody ever saw something with scales without fins. How did the writer of the Torah know such a thing, and he insists You will never have. Why? Because he has control. I will never let it happen. Why? Because I promise you in my oral Torah, if it has scales, for sure it have fins. Guarantee. And it will never be otherwise. That's proof number one. Let's go to proof number two. We know that in Judaism, today it's Rosh Chodesh, the beginning of the new month. Now we're in a month of Iyar. Next month, Sivan. We just passed the month of Nisan. About every 30 days approximately, it's a new month in a Jewish calendar. The only problem is, if you know the Arabs, the Muslims, they go by the moon only. The year of the moon is 354 days. The Christians, they go by the sun only. It gives us 365 days and few hours. The difference between the year of the moon and to the year of the sun is about 11 days and change. Therefore, every 3 years, approximately, there is a gap of a month, 33 days. Right? You understand what I'm saying here or no? Because the year of the sun and the year of the moon, it's shortage of 11 days. The Arabs, since they don't care, they go by the sun, by the moon. Every few years, the Ramadan, the fast of the Ramadan, move from the summer to the winter. Sometimes they fast in the heat, sometimes they fast in the snow. No, they don't care. It doesn't have to be in a specific time or season. Okay. Christians, every 4 years, they have February 29th. You don't want to be born on that day. You lose a lot of birthday gifts. Only once every 4 years you have a birthday. Why? To balance the calendar. The Jews, God said to Moshe in the Torah, this is also oral Torah, that there is a gap between the sun and the moon, and I'm going to teach you the math, how to overcome this problem in nature. Now listen carefully. Because in the Torah it says Passover, the holiday of the spring, one word in the Torah, Chag HaAviv, the holiday of the spring, it must always be on the Aviv, on the spring. Now if we go only by this calendar or by their calendar, it will not always be on the Aviv, on the spring. It would move like the Ramadan or the other holidays that they have. So now you have to overcome the problem with all the movement of the galaxies and the year, and you have to tell the Jews how Pesach will always fall in the spring. So this is what the Midrash say. At that time, God taught Moshe how to make a leap year and how to make sure that Passover always fall on the spring. Every 19 years period, you have to add 7 more months to the calendar. That's why every 2 to 3 years we have a leap year, 13 months in Judaism. We call it Adar Bet, Adar Aleph, Adar Bet. You just had it. Adar Aleph, Adar Bet. Why do you need it? Because if Passover falls short around March in Israel, here, we're not talking about America, we're talking in the Holy Land. So if Pesach falling short, like beginning of March, still cold. You push another month into the calendar, you postpone it to April 10, April 5, that's already nice, spring, everything is blooming. 2 or 3 more years again, it's falling short, you push another month. Every 19 years, the Jewish calendar and the Goyish calendar has the same, the holidays fall in the same day. Every 19 years period. Now listen carefully. In Judaism, how do you determine the beginning of a new month? You need 2 witnesses to see the renewal of the moon. Today we have a Jewish calendar. The Jewish calendar were written about 1800 years ago by the grandson of Hillel. He was a very big rabbi and a brilliant mathematician with mamash holy vision on him. He wrote the Jewish calendar until the end of time. He made sure that Yom Kippur will never be attached to Shabbat. There will not be 2 days like this that you cannot move the dead body. If somebody died in the first day, then he would stink in a house for 2 days, the body, because there's no refrigerator and they didn't have cars. We're talking almost 1800 years ago. The brilliance of the calendar, when Pesach fall, always will be the same day, Tisha B'Av. If you learn about the Jewish calendar, that's enough to know Judaism is a divine religion. Just the calendar alone. It's an incredible thing. But we're not talking now about the calendar. We're talking before the calendar was written. They had to do it every month manually. Two people come to the Jewish court, what we call Beit Din. They come to the rabbis who sits there and expecting. The rabbis knew that, let's say, on Shabbat they announce in a shul, the beginning of the new month should be Wednesday, the renewal of the moon should be Wednesday around 5 p.m. and 3 minutes. But it could be a minute more, a minute less. So the witnesses are going up to the mountain, they're looking up. As soon as the moon disappears and beginning now a new cycle, they run quickly to the Beit Din and they testify that they saw it. What's their incentive? They're not giving them money. They put all the biggest rabbis in the Beit Din, and the people wanted to have a meal with them. It's not like today he wants to have a meal with LeBron James. Back in the days, people appreciate who are the big chachamim in the world. Say, oh, maybe I'll get lucky, they'll let me in and I'll sit with all the big holy rabbis. So that's what the incentive for the witnesses to run to tell. So now the Gemara tells us a story in Masechet Rosh Hashanah. Rabban Gamliel was sitting in a Beit Din waiting for the witnesses to show up. Witnesses started to show up. They told him, Rabbi, now it's the renewal of the moon. The rabbi told them, impossible. Now he's sitting inside the building, and they came from outside, from the hills. He said to them, impossible, too short. The renewal of the moon, listen to what he told them. This is 2,000 years ago. Rabban Gamliel was the president of Israel back in the days. And he's also from the family of King David, and Mashiach come from his descendants. He said to them, the renewal of the moon we receive from Moshe Rabbeinu from Mount Sinai. That the renewal of the moon can never be less than 29 days and a half and 2/3 of the hour and 73 parts, 73 halakim. Translation to math, 29 days, we all know what it is, right? And a half, 12 hours. And 2/3 of the hour, 40 minutes. 73 parts, if you do the math, it's about 3 minutes and few seconds. So the renewal of the moon, no matter how many thousands of months, always the moon will come and start another cycle. It will never be less than 29.530590. I repeat, the renewal of the moon will never be less than 29 days, 12 hours, 43 minutes and few seconds. Never be less. Now in math, this is what it gives us, 29.530590. I'm giving you a number, 6 digits after the decimal point. That's very accurate number. One day, NASA started to measure and investigate the cycle of the moon, Earth-Moon system. In my CD, Torah and Science, is right there on the table there. On your way out, please grab some for you and for your friends, free of charge. Uncle Sam is paying. I'm Sam, not him. But I don't pay. There's good Jews that donate, and we make CDs, and Baruch Hashem, that's how so many people see the truth, and they're waking up. So this is how it goes. So it says like this. NASA started to investigate, and they came up with a number. What's the number? 29.530588. Remember what I said before? 29.530590. 29.530588. 588,590. To 10,000 of a second. 6 digits after the decimal point. The difference between what the Torah told us in a very primitive generation, that there was no calculator, no computer, no telescope, no spaceship, no satellite, no billions of dollars from Obama and his friends. Back in the days, the Torah gave us a number. Today, NASA came with almost exact number. But the Germans in 1965 in Berlin, they conducted their own research. And as you know, the Germans are a little bit more yekes. They're more accurate, unfortunately, from us, the Americans. And the Yekes, you know, there's a joke in Ashkenazi, Yeke Shul. You know, there's a regular Ashkenazim and there's the Yekes. The Yekes means they came from Germany. So the Yekes are very precise. Everything they do is accurate. Not 99%, 100%. So one guy came to a Yeke Shul to pray Arvit, you know, in the evening. They told him Arvit is 9:03. 9:03. So he came, he looks at his watch, looks like 9:03. He comes to the Gabbai, he says, excuse me, is Arvit starting now? The Gabbai says, oh, no, now. Whoa, you exaggerate. What, you want to steal 4 seconds? So the Germans in Germany, they did their own research in Berlin, 1965, and came up with the number 29.530,589. 1/10,000 of a second. And one time when I gave this on a slide, you know, in one of my lectures with my laptop on a screen, in the end of the lecture, one scientist came to me and said, check, they upgraded it to 590 already. I never found the source. I searched. I couldn't find the source. I believe if he told me he knows what he's talking about since he wasn't religious. If he was religious, I say he has an incentive. Make it perfect. But since he was a scientist, there's no reason to help me. So whether they did upgrade it or not, you have to be impressed that the Torah gave you the cycle of the renewal of the moon in a generation that it was impossible to know. No human being had that knowledge 3,300 years ago besides the one that created the moon and created the earth and created the world. Now I want to tell you something. If I take you on a boat on the way to the Niagara Falls, everything around us is water. Water, non-stop water. And I say to you today, I'm in a very generous mood, you can win $1 billion cash. $1 billion cash? How? Each one of you will receive a quarter from me. Here, I'm giving each one of you a quarter. One guy told me, hey, you say $1 billion, you give me a quarter? I said, no, you have to make the $1 billion. How do you make $1 billion with a quarter? I say to them, you see, all of you, here is a quarter. I painted it red. I'm standing on a boat. I throw my quarter in the bottom of the ocean. I went all the way down 12 kilometers to the bottom, 8 miles, thinking and thinking. Boop, he reached the bottom. Now I say to all of you, let's send a camera with a rope. Let's watch the bottom of the ocean. Each one of you have to throw his own quarter. Write your name on your quarter and throw it. If your quarter will fall exactly on mine, you will get $1 billion. How many of you will throw the quarter? You probably throw it in my eyes. You brought us all the way here to fool us? What kind of a gift is that? So the answer is, what are the odds that your quarter will fall on the quarter that I threw? Do you think there's any chance? No. No chance. No chance. You try 1 billion times, it will fall on it? It won't fall. This is, by the way, the odds that Earth, our world, will be where it is in space. Let me explain. The sun is located somewhere, the moon is located somewhere, the Milky Way has 9 stars, shape of a banana. And one star that was supposed to be in a track, like the 9 stars, 1, 2, 3, in the shape of half a circle, banana, one star was picked up and moved all the way to the right. Moved to the right. It's out of the track. Which star was that? Our world. If our world would be where it was supposed to be, in the shape of a banana, you would not need 4th and July. We will all become shish kebab ourselves from the heat of the sun. In a second, all the water here will evaporate and we all get burned in a second. Nobody could live here. If the earth would go 1% further from the sun, Siberia will be a hot Miami summer day. compared to the weather. How freezing it would be here. The food would freeze inside the stomach. And I don't have to tell you what would happen here. The only place from endless space, endless, you know what it means, endless? You travel 1 million years and 2 million years and 5 million years and it's keep going and going and endless, endless space. And the earth is like taking a little dime in a huge ocean. That's more or less to give you an idea. And this dime has to fall exactly to the only place in the ocean. Every other place it would fall, there's no life. The only place you can have life is where Earth is placed in an endless space. Something like this can happen by coincidence, or there is a hand of the Creator who put the Earth exactly where He wanted us to have 80, 70, 60 degrees to be able to be alive. That's already enough proof. You don't need more than that to see that Hashem is running the show. Not like the atheist. I have a debate with a skeptic. You can see it on my website. People like it for whatever reason. I think it's totally foolish. I mean, the nonsense that he was saying is insulting the intelligence. That's my opinion. Even though he's a nice person, everything is fine. We started friendly, we finished friendly, we sometimes even in touch until today. My opinion, the things that he was saying over there is mamash insulting the intelligence of any normal human being. Not smart, normal. Nonsense, this was made by itself and this was made by itself. All kinds of things that he himself doesn't even believe what he says. But I want to tell you something very interesting. How many years we know that the world has billions and trillions of stars? How many years we know that? Did you know that until Galileo Galilei 400 years ago, 1608, everybody was sure that there's maximum 8,000 stars? Maximum 8,000 stars. One day, Galileo developed his telescope, 6 feet wide. He picked it up to the sky and he saw a lot more than what we thought. And after Galileo showed the world there's many more stars, today with the equipment that we have, we already know there are trillions and trillions of stars. The Gemara in Masechet Brachot said the Jewish nation after the destruction of the second temple, they say to God, dear God, person get remarried and he never forget his ex-wife. How did you get so angry at us that you already forgot about us completely? The answer of God to the Jewish nation was in the Gemara in Masechet Brachot, page 32. The Gemara writes, God answered, my daughter. Who does he call my daughter? To the Jewish nation. 12 sections I created in heaven. That's where the horoscope comes from. 12 signs. And in each section I created 30 legion, 30 armies. And in each army I created 30 legion. And in each legion I created 30 karaton. And in each karaton I created 30 rahaton. And in each rahaton I created 30 gistera. And in each gistera I hung 365,000 multiplied by 10,000 stars. And all of that I made for you, the nation of Israel. And you have the nerve to tell me that I forgot about you and neglected you? Let's do the math together. This was written in a Talmud 2,000 years ago. When there's no NASA, no telescope, no mega computer, nobody even knew about the concept of galaxies. People only saw stars, what you see when you walk on the street. 12 times 30, times 30, times 30, times 30, times 30, times 365,000, times 10,000, give us a 19-digit number, quadrillion something. Professor Vidal, 1990, did a research. The satellites took pictures of all the galaxies, and the mega computer size of a big building counted all the dots and came with a 19 digits number. We don't really care so much about his research, because if he will do his research today, he probably will come up with another number, and tomorrow another number, because there's no way to take picture of all the stars in all the galaxies. And sometimes you may take the same stars twice. But one thing we do know, that the number is in trillions and trillions and so many galaxies, almost endless amount. The question is, who would be able to imagine such a thing, to write it in the Talmud 2,000 years ago when you only see 6,000 stars? How only the creator of the world was able to write. And I want to conclude my speech tonight here. And please follow up on the CDs that we give you over there. Same God that gave us hundreds of proofs in the Torah, in the oral Torah, to show us that the Torah is not just another book. It's a divine book, and it applies to each one of us. It applies to Jews, it applies to non-Jews. The non-Jews still learn the creation from the Torah. They learn about the 7 laws. They learn things that God loves. They learn things that God hates. They learn many things. The Goyim can learn a lot from the Torah. But we are not here right now. This is a Jewish place here. We have to educate our brothers and sisters here. Everyone that listens to my lecture should know one thing. To be religious is not out of style, the other way around. That's the most advanced style. Why? Because it's the divine wish of Hashem, the creator of the world. What's the purpose of this whole world? Why did he put us over here? To be monkeys? To eat? Sometimes people say, I ask, what's the purpose of life? I can do it right now. I ask you, what's the purpose of life? I'll tell you what you're going to answer. To be healthy. To be rich. To succeed in business. To have a nice body. To succeed on a diet. To enjoy life. To have children. To be famous. To learn about the world. Did I cover more or less everything? To be a model. To be a soccer player. To kick a piece of leather. What's the purpose of life? Depends who you ask. You ask in Harlem, they tell you to be an NBA star. You ask in Israel, if you ask the boys, they tell you to be a soccer player. If you ask the girls, to be a model. Depends where you go. Bottom line, maximum I can find you 10 or 20 things that people can say, and it's all mutual all over the world. Everyone wants to be rich, everyone wants to be famous, everyone wants to be healthy, almost everyone wants to be married and have normal children. More or less everyone wants the same. There's always an exception to the rule, but... So, if that's the purpose of life, please give me an answer. Why aren't we monkey? Why we're not monkeys? Everything that I mentioned, the monkeys have much easier than us. The monkey, he wants a female. He gets up in the morning. They all go like that. You also. Doesn't have to buy her a drink. Doesn't have to come with his Bentley. Make a show, fix his hair. This, now, plastic surgery, come with the show, tons of perfume. Then he wash him, no, I don't like it. 5 hours he prepare for the show, open the door, all the show. Tomorrow he'll get married and break her bones. All this beautiful show, 1 year from now in a court in Manhattan. The monkeys don't have this show. He likes her, she likes him, their baby's finished. Did you ever see a monkey with gray hair? Did you ever see a monkey take Prozac? Did you ever see a monkey bald? Did you ever see a monkey with huge belly that he needs a plastic surgery to remove it? Did you ever see a monkey that cannot run and jump and he has pain in his muscles? Did you ever see a monkey who sits 4 hours in traffic just to get to work and pay $25 tolls every day? Did you ever see a monkey that have to work 30 years to buy a house that will have leaks on his head? What? Give me one reason why it's better to be a human being. Anything you tell me now, I'll prove to you it's much better to be a dog. Or a squirrel. In America, the squirrel has the life. I come home now, on my way home, I come to my driveway, there was few garbage there. On the garbage, one eating Persian food, one Chinese food, one Italian food. They're confused. All the cats in our neighborhood became like this. They don't have to worry, plenty of food, children as much as they want. They don't have to work 18 years to raise them. One guy told me, Rabbi, I want my wife to make an abortion. Please tell her it's allowed. How can I tell her it's allowed? It's a murder. No, we already have 2 kids. I said, no, so you have another one. No, it cost $1 million in America to raise a kid. If he would be a baboon, he wouldn't say it. He wouldn't worry about it. He eats on me. He comes to my garbage and eats. Now you may come and tell me, well, you're comparing us to dogs. Dogs eat leftover from the garbage. We eat nice steak. He eats the bones. Don't be a fool. When I take my food from the garbage, when I eat it, I suffer psychologically. Look at me, I'm homeless. I have to take food from the garbage. But the dog doesn't have it in his brain. He doesn't understand it's bad what he does. He enjoys it and licks the, he breaks the bones, he enjoys it. Right away, he comes back, he moves his tail. Did you see how you give them food, how they move like this? So the dog doesn't feel I'm a second-class citizen. He has plenty, as much as he wants. Enjoy life, beautiful life. The cat of Michael Jackson, $20 million inheritance. How many of you already made it in America? So the answer is, ladies and gentlemen, the answer is, the Torah answers us. The Torah told us. God wrote in the Torah, the man, the human being, have no advantage on the animal whatsoever. Mutar ha'adam min ha'behema ha'ain. Nothing whatsoever. They're faster, they're stronger, they're healthier, they're happier, everything better by them. They don't pay taxes, they don't have to live with Obama here. So, no Hamas, no Hezbollah, no Iran, none of this nonsense. No ISIS. They are the ISIS. They do whatever they want. So the answer is, the Torah says, there's no advantage on a human being from the animals at all, besides one. The divine soul that I put in the body of each human being that will be judged in a time of death. Now, the question that we have to ask, we learn from this that we have a divine soul. Okay, but who consider a judgment, a trial, a benefit? If any, it's the last thing that gives us advantage on the animals. The animals don't have to worry about the trial. We have to worry about the trial. It's very stressful. So why God is considering it as an advantage? The advantage is, it's not a trial that somebody sue you and you can only lose or stay the same. This trial has two sides to the coin. You can lose a lot, but you can earn a lot. When you come to that trial, the judge reviews what you did. Unlike the court over here, he may dismiss you and you go home and you stay the same. But over there, if you did the right thing, your reward is huge. So to give you a little bit appetite, the Torah promised to the Jewish people, if you live and keep my laws, you keep the Sabbath, you eat kosher food, you behave modest, you pray to me at least once a day, you keep the Jewish holidays, and you do the rest of the things the Torah say. Many of the things the Torah requires doesn't exist today because we don't have a holy temple. But if we review the list of the Torah, what the Torah told us to do today, if we live according to the Torah, the reward that we will get in the time of death, after the soul separates from the body goes to the grave, the soul goes back to God, and the soul will be placed in a place. The question is, what place? Good or horrible? That's the question. That's what we call in Judaism, Gan Eden, Gehinom, Kafakela, reincarnations, all kinds of things. Without going into that, that's not why I came here today. I don't want to discuss punishments and consequences of our bad choices. But I want to just give you a positive incentive to go home with, without speaking about the negative. If you're clever enough, you go and investigate what's the other side, because every positive has the other side. The positive side is that the Torah promise, and Hashem is not a Congress member or Israeli Knesset member. When he promised, he keeps his promise, and you better believe it. And this is what he writes. If you take all the pleasure of all the people, of all the generations combined, from the beginning of the world until the end of this world, all the pleasure, food, sport, women, jewelry, vacations, whatever you want, clothing, you name it, whatever you like. Take everything that anybody here ever had, from day one until the final minute. Combine everything to one huge mountain of pleasure. will not be equal to the pleasure of one Jew in the afterlife if he was found righteous. Time of death, his life will be reviewed. We make mistakes, we make sins, everybody makes sins. The biggest rabbi makes sins. Ordinary people make sins. We make sins, we're not angels. We have evil inclination. But the Torah told us how to behave when we make sins. That's why we have Yom Kippur, to make repentance. That's why when we pray, we ask for forgiveness. That's why we learn, we give charity. There's ways to overcome. In CD number 1, you can listen to all the laws of repentance, how we can fix our entire life. But one thing you should remember, all the pleasure of all the people of all the generations will not be equal to 1 hour in the afterlife. Where does it say it? יפה שעה אחת של קורת רוח בעולם הבא מכל חיי העולם הזה. 1 hour of pleasure, of satisfaction in the afterlife is greater than this entire world combined. Now, if you understand what I'm talking here about, one time in your life you made a blessing on a food, one time, which is few words, takes a second, how long it takes to make a bracha. This entire world combined will not be enough to pay you the reward for that alone. Where does it say it in the Torah? In the time of the prophet Isaiah, Yeshaya, he came to the king Chizkiyahu 2,600 years ago. And he said to him, God told me to tell you that you're about to die. Get ready. And he said, why should I die? I do everything that God wanted me to do. And he said, because you never got married and did not have children, which is the first obligation in the Torah for men. You must get married and have at least a boy and a girl. This is what you have to do. You can have 10 boys with no girl, you did not fulfill your obligation. 10 girls with no boy, you didn't fulfill. At least 1 boy, 1 girl. The rest is extra. That's the mitzvah of purvu. That's the halacha. So the Torah say, why don't you get married? So he said, I see in a prophecy that I'm going to have a wicked son that will put idols in Israel against God. I don't want to have a son like this. I rather suffer all my life without a wife, without a woman, die alone, with no children, than to have such a monster kid. He said, the prophet told him, you are not God. You cannot do his calculation. You still had to get married, even if you see that he had a son like this. So he said, Chatati, I'm sorry, forgive me. Tell God to give me a second chance to fix. Then the Navi came to Hashem, prayed all night. Both of them prayed. He came back to him and he said, God gave you 15 more years to live. He said to him, how do I know you're not only telling it to me to make me feel good? He said to him, the sun today will not go down in the right time. It's supposed to go down at 8, it will stay until 10 at night. That's the sign that I'm not lying to you. 4 times in the history, earth and the sun paused. That's one of the 4 times in the history. It's in the Tanakh. So he said to him, give me your daughter to marry her. Right away, he gave him his daughter. He married her and had the children. Okay, that's the story. In the meantime, in Iraq, in Babylon, they also look at the sky. They see no sunset today. What's going on? King Nebuchadnezzar, which was the Hitler back in the days, very, very, very wicked king. King Nebuchadnezzar see what's happening today in the world. There was no Google to check what happened. So he called a soldier. He said, I want you to go to the Jews in Jerusalem on a horse and ask them why in this day the sun did not go down on time. They have to tell us. They have this Torah of them. They probably know. So he wrote a letter. Listen what I'm telling you now. It's an incredible story. From here you'll learn about us, how lucky we are to be Jews. How lucky we are. For that alone it was worth for you to come here tonight. So he wrote a letter to the King Chizkiyahu and the people of Jerusalem and the people of Israel and their God. Please explain why the sun did not go down in this particular hour on this date. He got up from his chair. No, he gave it to the soldier. The soldier jumped on a horse. As the soldier was about to start his ride, he said, wait, I made a mistake. Give me back the ladder. He got up from his chair, and he made 3 steps forward. 1, 2, 3. He took the ladder, and he fixed it. Instead of God in the end, he said to the God of Israel, and to the King Chizkiyahu, and to the people of Jerusalem, and to the people of Israel, please explain. So all he did, he paid respect to God. He took him from the end of the sentence and put him in the beginning. And he gave him back the ladder and he left. 3 steps he made. The Torah is teaching us that for the 3 steps that this Hitler was a little kid compared to him. He murdered more than 20 million people. He destroyed Bet HaMikdash, the house of God. A big monster, a big kofar. So, for the 3 steps that he made, God paid him 70 years control on the entire world. He was the king of Babylon, and he was in charge of the entire world. Every person in the world paid him tax. For 45 years. He was the king 45 years. His son, 23 years. And his grandson, 2 years. Together, him and his son and his grandson controlled the entire world for 70 years for 3 steps that he made to give respect to the God of the Jews. 70 years of this entire world. Now let's do the math together. Each one of you here already sat here for 2 hours or more. Every letter that came out of my mouth is mitzvah from the Torah, like putting tefillin. So now we already made, maybe, 200,000 mitzvot tonight. He made 1 mitzvah. He controlled the whole 70 years. Each one of you already deserve to own this world for about 1 million years, just based on the last 2 hours. But how Hashem will divide one world to so many people here and give each one of them millions of years to control the world? It's not possible. Conclusion, the reward of the spiritual mitzvot is not in this world. It's all for the world to come, which is eternity. That's why when we pray Shmona Esrei, in the end we go like this. 1, 2, 3. Oseh shalom b'mromav uberacham. Why we go 3 steps back? This monster walked 3 steps forward. 1, 2, 3. Thanks to that, he destroyed Bet HaMikdash. We take these steps back. 1, 2, 3. And we say, Yeh Ratzon Shivane Bet HaMikdash. That's the last thing of Tfilat Shmona Esrei. Because of that. This is just one of many examples how huge is the reward if you keep Shabbat. And what Shabbat? What is it, a punishment? You come home, you put a nice suit, the house is set like a holiday, your children are all dressed with nice clothes, you come to the shul, rabbi, all your friends, family, neighbor, everyone sit, nice, smell good, clean, everybody sings together, praying, talking, like one big family in a community. Then you go home, delicious meal. Then you talk to your children, to your wife, you have some time from all this hectic world, non-stop pressure all day in the office, traffic. No phone, no computer, no nothing. The family, you invite friends, relatives, neighbors, everyone in a table. Every week, a holiday. They go him, eat turkey once a year, flying all over the world. What? To eat it? We have it every week. 3 times a day. Well, we take it for granted. Then in the morning, you get up, you come again to the shul, you hear the Torah, the rabbi gives a speech, you come home, you eat again, you go to sleep, you have time to rest. And for that, you get an eternal reward for keeping the covenant with God. Now that he asks you to go to the gym for 10 hours and put weights on your back, you chose it on your own to torture yourself. God didn't tell you want olam haba, kill yourself. Go in a Judah, desert and go up to the mountain in 120 degrees. No. Now I know what you're thinking. Rabbi, but it's difficult, Yeah, but the reward is only 50 years from now. Everyone sure is going to live to 100 years old. People 70 something. Rabbi, but the reward is not now. You're already 75. What do you think? You're going to be here forever? But that's how it is, He's 90 years old. He's thinking about the next real estate project. Buy this mountain, we shave the trees. So I'll tell you something. The reward, the Torah, it's not difficult to keep. It's only takes 3 months to adjust. That's all. Even when you walk from one firm to another, you make 100,000 a year as a lawyer here. A different firm offer you 400,000 a year. Same job. But you have to move 10 blocks north in Manhattan. It's different subway, different secretary. She used to make you the coffee like you like. She doesn't make you the coffee like you like. It's a little bit different. You have to walk another block now every day. The subway, you have to get used to it. Maybe you have to walk it. You know, there's some miscellaneous problems. Who cares? It's 400 instead of 100. Anyone will turn down the job because there's some changes to be made. It takes few months to adjust, but once you're religious, you love it. What's the problem to eat kosher? Every other store today sell kosher. You go in a supermarket everywhere in America, or you, or K, or this, K, and all this kashruyot, Hasidish, everything. 1,000 restaurants, רק in Manhattan and Brooklyn alone, kosher. Everywhere you go, it's kosher. Easy. Today, Shabbos timer. You put everything, turn the air condition on, off the lights. Now they made kosher switch. Soon, it's going to be easy. Soon, it's changing the technology, making life easier and easier. It's not good, too easy. But believe me, it's so easy today to be religious. Very easy. You put your children in good kosher school. They teach them to respect their parents. There's no drugs there. There's no bullying, no knives, no metal detector. None of the things that are happening in the public school. No matter how you look at that, your life is 1,000,000 times better. A person, Reuven said to his friend Shimon, Shimon, I need you to do me a favor. Take this bag, it's very heavy, take it all the way up to the mountain and give it to our friend Yosef. And I will appreciate your favor. Shimon is a nice guy. He took the bag, he began to climb on a mountain. After 10 minutes, he's about to faint. In the meantime, this guy Reuven is laughing. Oh, look how. After 10 minutes, when this guy Shimon, he wants to kill himself, why do I always volunteer? Why and why and why? Reuven call him and say, Shimon, I forgot to tell you one thing. When you go all the way up to the mountain, my friend Yosef over there, the bag is full of diamonds. He will take 2, 3 diamonds for himself, and all the other hundreds of diamonds are all for you, for your effort. And he hang up. What happened to Shimon after that phone call? He got up. No heat, no humidity, no weight. Nothing bothers him anymore. His wife called, all of a sudden he's super nice. What changed? Nothing changed. The weight is the same weight. The distance is the same distance. He realized I'm now working for free. That's all you have to understand. You are not working for free. You're going to dress modest. Every second you get a huge reward. And if not, I don't want to tell you what. You keep Shabbat, you get a reward. You eat kosher, you get a reward. You keep the holiday, you're not for free. Yes?
For people that are moving slowly, what's more important, eating kosher or keeping Shabbat?
That's a very good question. You know what it's like? Like asking in a court, Mister, what crimes you are doing? You say, I'm murdering and raping. So the lawyer say, Your Honor, tell him which one of the crime you should stop first. It's very hard. I got to tell you why I'm telling you this. Now let me explain to you what I mean. Shabbat is an eternal covenant between the Jewish people and Hashem. Technically, in Shulchan Aruch, it says 7 different places. If a Jew doesn't keep Shabbat, he cut himself out of Judaism until he does tshuva. When a person makes repentance, he can fix everything. But if he doesn't make repentance, he's in a very, very serious problem with his status. However, to be able to keep Shabbat easily, a person needs to eat kosher. Why? Because the food that we eat creates the blood. The blood, when the blood is made in a kosher way, which means we eat kosher food, that makes us more spiritual. Because the Torah says that someone that eats non-kosher food, it makes him impure. V'nitmetem b'hem, Rashi writes, Nietem metumtamim. Metumtam in Hebrew means cannot tell the difference between good and bad. Cannot tell. Thank you. cannot tell the difference between good and bad. He can be a genius in computer, he can be a genius in math, whatever you want. But when it comes to spirituality, he makes dumb decision. What causes it? Eating non-kosher. So it's very hard to answer your question. I would say both, to start with both. It's not, but to eat kosher, it's really not hard. It's not even hard.
Let's say for my family.
Yes.
I'm trying to encourage.
Yes.
And with encouragement, I understand that some people can make drastic changes.
Yes.
So at least one step at a time.
Shabbat. Shabbat. I tell you why Shabbat. Because once a person begins to keep Shabbat, he's already considered himself religious. When he eats kosher, he's not considered himself religious. He says, אני חילוני, אני אוכל כשר, אבל אני חילוני. Once he's shomer Shabbat, there's no way back. He's already jumped on a wagon of Hashem. Because he cannot be chiloni shomer Shabbat. Once you shomer Shabbat, that's it. You move from the secular side into the religious side. Psychologically, when you already come to shul and you meet people, and in a shul you meet religious people, and the rabbi give you encouragement and this, it's a matter of a week or two until you begin to eat kosher. Plus, I tell you another secret. 90% of the food that we eat, technically it's kosher anyway. Let me give you an idea. If a person buy bread that is not kosher, what's the ingredients there? Margarine, sugar, yeast, flour, and they do it in a factory. That's all they do. They bake breads. Most likely that the bread is kosher. Fruits and vegetables are kosher. So the main problem is wine and meat. That's the main problem. Or if he eats fish that are not kosher without scales. But if he buys salmon fish, tuna fish, it's kosher anyway. So most likely, most of the things that we eat, most likely are kosher. Of course, we cannot rely on it. We need it to be officially supervised. But more or less, if a person looks his entire life, how much of the food he ate was not kosher, probably will be 30%. Not everything is not kosher. If a person eat French fries, he goes to a restaurant that is not kosher, and they made French fries in a chipser. What's over there? Regular vegetables oil, potatoes, and they only use it for French fries. They don't put anything in that oil. Most likely at regular French fries. In a kosher restaurant, it's the same thing. But we cannot rely on it. Maybe they cook pork there, we don't know. But overall, b'diavad, most likely, most of the things that we eat is not so bad. That's why I'm saying today it's very easy today. Mamash, in everywhere, in every supermarket, every other item is kosher. You go to Costco, almost everything is kosher there. Almost everything is kosher. All the ice creams, all the cheese, the fish. So many kosher things you have, and for such good prices. Actually, you can buy kosher fish in Costco cheaper than non-kosher fish in a supermarket across the street. So there's really no excuses. They even sell meat now in Costco, glad kosher. I see goyim buy the glad kosher. Indians, Arabs, Christians. I ask one of them, why are you buying kosher? You're paying double. You say, no, not true. The non-kosher meat is also expensive. Maybe 20% different. But why you buy kosher? He say, if God say to the Jews to eat kosher, what do you think, I'm a fool? I know it's better. So what's the big deal? I pay 20% more. Do you understand? By the way, in case you don't believe me, next time when you go to Costco, look at the glad kosher meat. About $9.99, $8.99, around $10, let's say, a pound. Go on a beef that is completely not kosher, the same price. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe to my eyes. I said, what? Kosher and non-kosher? Now, do you want to know the difference between kosher and non-kosher? Yes. When you eat a cow that is beef not kosher, some people say, Rabbi, it's juicy. It's like margarine. You don't even need a knife. With a fork, you can cut the meat. It's so juicy. So one time I told the guy, you want to know why the non-kosher beef it's juicy? Let me explain to you why. The Jews, when they slaughter the cow, they slaughter from the neck. Tons of blood spills out. They open the cow and they put lots of salt. The salt gets all the urine and the blood out, and then they wash it. You eat clean meat. When you go to the non-Jewish places, how do they kill the cows? They put them on metal floor. They turn the voltage up. They electrocute them 500 degrees, 1 or 2 minutes. They all fall and die. Now it takes them hours until they open all the cows, take the skin off, cut the legs off, take the head off, and opening it and cutting it and bringing it to the butcher place. In the meantime, it marinated in 10 liters of urine and blood, which is absorbed inside the meat of the cow. And later, when it comes to McDonald's or to the supermarket, when the Jews buy non-kosher, it's very juicy because it's marinated in urine and blood. So you tell me it's for 10 or 20% on the price, you want to eat meat that is marinated in urine, no problem. That's up to the people to decide. Any more questions before we finish? Yes. Oh, she asked me before on the death of the 7 children that die. This question not only applies to the 7 children, it applies to the Holocaust, it applies to so many other tragedies. Generally, this question Moshe Rabbeinu asked HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Moshe asked Hashem when he saw some Egyptian kill a baby. He take a baby and he put him inside the pyramids. And they about to kill the baby alive. And Moshe said to Hashem, what did sin this baby made that you want him to die? And Hashem said to him, oh, you questioning my decision? Take the baby out. And he took him out, and later on this baby was a very wicked Jew named Micha that called other Jews to worship idols. That's one story in the Torah. But I'll tell you now, it's getting a little bit deeper. When you see a baby, he's now 5 years old. Everybody that looks at this baby, what's in his mind? Innocent creature that never harmed anyone. True or false? The answer, false. Why false? In this body, you're right. This person did not harm anyone. But most of the people in the world do not know that this baby that you see 5 years old, 10 years ago was an adult. His soul was in the body of an older person, 70, 75, 80. He died, and he came in front of Hashem, and Hashem reviewed his entire life. That's what we call reincarnation, Gilgulim. Shar Gilgulim of the Ari Kadosh. He explained everything from A to Z. Today I have a lecture, I have a DVD right here, it's called Life After Death. It's a must-see. It will explain you the concept of reincarnation, why righteous people suffer, why wicked people celebrate, how does it work. It will give you a great education how the world works. But one thing you have to know, if we see now a baby crossing the street and a car came and killed him, we all shocked. When we see that it happens to an adult, we also shocked, but not as much. We say, wow, poor man, look at him, 40 years old, he died. We feel so bad. But if it's a 4 years old, we go crazy. Wow, a baby. Why is it? Because we think this baby didn't even do anything bad to anyone. I don't know, maybe this 4 years guy is a murderer, maybe he's a rapist, maybe he's a big crook, maybe. But this kid is so innocent. Now what would happen if the minute that this tragedy happened, God would show us a movie now? And he said, you feel bad for this baby? Let me show you who this baby was 10 years ago. And we see that this was Saddam Hussein.
Yes.
And he came back in the world in reincarnation. And you now see Saddam Hussein who rape women, who take married women from their husband and rape them in their own homes, who kidnap girls from their parents, who stole $40 billion from his nation, who gassed the Kurdish people, who stole all the Sifrei Torah from the Jews and made so many tragedies to so many people. And this is the punishment he got. What would you say? It's not fair, it's not enough. What changed? One change. 5 minutes ago, we felt horrible for that baby. And now when we realize who this baby was in his previous life, we say it's not enough, it's not fair, it's too easy. The answer I'm saying is, not God forbid that these children were wicked people. No, don't get me the wrong impression. We don't know who they used to be. We don't know who we are in previous life. We don't know. Hashem is hiding it from us. You know why? Because it will eliminate our free choice. If we would remember our previous life, most of us would be depressed in bed and do not want to get out of bed for the rest of our life. Why? Sometimes a man is 50 years old and he never got married. He went on 200 dates. Every one of the dates refused to marry him. If he knew it from day one when he came to the world, in his bar mitzvah, he already knew his previous life that he was married 4 times. And he abused all his wives and made them horrible life. and did horrible things to his children, and his punishment was to live 75 years without getting married. That's his punishment. If he knew it when he was 13 years old, he doesn't want to live. He said, I'll kill myself. I don't want to live another 7 years without a woman now. It's very hard like this. I don't want to live. He stands in front of a car. The car hit him. He doesn't want to live because he already doesn't have hope. So Hashem is not telling us what we did wrong because it will take away our free choice. But we do know one thing. After all the reincarnations, everybody gets exactly what they deserve. We don't know why Hashem does. He doesn't tell us. He doesn't send us a note to explain to us what he does. But one thing we do know, and it's one of the 13 principles of Judaism, that אין איסורים בלא חטא. הקדוש ברוך הוא משלם שכר לצדיקים ומעניש לרשעים. That's one of the 13 principles in Judaism. You can bring a Siddur, I'll show it to you. In the end of the Siddur, it's printed. In case a Jew doesn't believe in these 13 principles that the Rambam wrote, he has a problem in his Judaism, in his ideology. Every convert who comes to the Beit Din, the first thing they tell him, learn those 13 principles. It's like the 10 commandments. You must know the 13 principles. One of them, that the Messiah would come. One day there will be resurrection of the dead. That all these things, it's inside the 13 principles. There's one God. Moshe was the master of all the prophets. That every person has a free choice to do good or bad. And because of that, we are judged. And one thing over there, it says that Hashem pays reward to the righteous and punish the wicked. That's one of the 13 principles. But however, it doesn't have to be instant. Many people violate Shabbat 30, 40 years and everything is fine. They still, succeed. Hashem has patience. It can be in this life, it can be in the next life, it can be not in this world, it can be in different places, the punishment. The way Hashem does it, it's very, very wide and many, many options. Reincarnation in raw material, reincarnation in plants, reincarnation on Down syndrome, all kinds of ways. One thing we do know, nobody ever gets away with crimes against Hashem. No one. Not from stealing, not from mechalel Shabbat. However, if a Jew makes tshuva, even though he made horrible crimes and huge quantity of crimes, the worst you can imagine, אין דבר העומד בפני התשובה. Nothing can stand in the level of repentance. Murderer, rapist, everything you can think of, מחלל Shabbat, idol worshipper, לשון, whatever. Every sin has a way to correct by making repentance. How do we start? Listen to my CD number 1. Over there are 6 lectures, laws of repentance based on the Rambam. The Rambam brings in L'chot Shuvah how to make repentance from the smallest sins to the biggest sins. If you listen to this once or twice, it'll give you an idea about life. One thing I promise you, life is not a picnic. We don't want to put too much pressure and to fear people, because to act under fear, it's also not good. Just fear, it's not going to work. To hide the punishment completely, it's also against the Torah, because it's written in the Torah. You cannot modify the Torah. We are not reform. We have to tell the people what Hashem wanted us to know from the Torah. To only speak about love, it's not going to work. To only speak about fear, it's not going to work. The Torah says, le'ahava u'le'ira. Hashem is great, is generous, is merciful. He gives us not even 1% of what we really deserve when we do something bad. He gives us unlimited reward when we do something small, but we can't take advantage on him. We have to do what he told us to do. If we do what he told us to do, and believe me, it's not so hard. It's wonderful to learn Torah. It's great to come to shul. It's not a punishment. People look at it, wow, life would be hard. No. A woman that dressed classy and modest is 1,000,000 times more respectful for her, regardless of religion. Regardless. What, the Queen Elizabeth ever went with short pants? Why? She understands she's the queen, regardless of religion. I'm a fancy lady. I'm an important lady. I'm the Vice President of the United States, Hillary. You ever saw her with provocative clothes? Even 20 years ago when she was younger. She never wore provocative, at least not in front of a camera. Why? I'm an important lady. I don't walk like a cheap product on the street. Here, a Jewish girl is a daughter of Hashem. She must dress accordingly. She's not a girl that everyone would look at her walking on the street, chas v'shalom, and have bad thoughts about her. It's a mother of Jewish holy neshamot. She's going to walk half naked on the street, chas v'shalom. People have to have dignity. Most of the things we are violating, it's regardless of religion. It's a matter of being a human being. You should not steal. You need Hashem to tell you not to take something that is not yours. You should not take someone else's wife. You need Hashem to tell you such a thing. Every guy understands these things are not morality. But we have to stick to the law. First, I want to say thank you very much for inviting me. And thank you, Rabbi, for having us here. And Bezrat Hashem, I hope that you're all going to take CDs. And I hope everyone got the message that I passed here. The Torah is divine. The oral Torah is divine. There is life after death. Life is a test. Ki menaseh Hashem etchem. I'm testing you every minute of your life. And I will give you a huge reward if you listen to me. You are my children. Take advantage on what I gave you. Don't lose it for nothing. Thank you very much. We'll see you again. Kol Tov.